What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. I am far away from my microphone, I think. But anyway, we are recapping the week's nerdy news from Stripes to Ghostbusters to Kindergarten Cop to my super ex-girlfriend and everywhere in between. Starting the show off with a R.I.P. Ivan Reitman, director extraordinaire, bringing us all those wonderful movies and more. Bless you on your journey, my friend. Godspeed. My name is Mike Gibson, one of your co-hosts. With me, as always, is Steve Howler. What's up, Steve?
Well, I was going to make a horrible Arnold Schwarzenegger voice saying, "Who is your co-host and what does he do?" But I decided to opt against it. So here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Another week of nerdy news coming at you. Starting off with some DC news. Warner Brothers. I gotta say, Steve, this shocked me. I did not see this.
Yeah.
I did not see this coming.
You talk about things out of left field, like that. There's no connection to anything.
And it's really, it should not have surprised me. You know what? It only surprised me because it was Warner Brothers and not DC. But I'm guessing I'm getting less. Sorry, Warner Brothers and not Disney. I should have said DC and not Marvel.
Right.
So I should be getting more used to this because DC and Warner Brothers and HBO Max continuing to announce lesser development of projects focusing on lesser characters. We're getting a Zatanna project. I mean, Batgirl's not really a lesser character, but she's certainly not Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. But, you know, they're developing some Justice League Dark stuff, Constantine. We're talking about Madame Xanadu, like all these kind of like lesser things. Even like Blue Beetle is like a B, C level character. But I did not expect, because we've said before in the past, just relating back to what I said, how with the MCU and Marvel, I used to be like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing whatever.
Right.
But now it's like, yeah, of course they're doing whatever. They can do anything. They've proven themselves, right? They can do it.
Yeah.
Sure. I wouldn't say Warner Bros. has necessarily proven themselves in this area yet, but they are certainly showing that they're not scared of moving forward with films, shows that don't have the words Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in them. Which used to not be the case. So, let me tell you, I was surprised, shocked, and overjoyed when I read this week that Warner Brothers is developing a Wonder Twins movie. Wonder Twins. A Wonder Twins movie for HBO Max. Adam Sitski? I'm bad at names, man. You got to be in charge of names from now on. I feel like you're better at names. Anyway.
As the resident, Polish ancestry here, I should know what's going on with that name, but I have no idea. I would say Zaitsky, but...
Zaitsky? Okay, let's call it. Adam Zaitsky has been hired to write and direct an HBO Max exclusive movie about the Wonder Twins. Twins. Zaitsky had worked on movies Due Date, We're the Millers, Rampage, and Black Adam, those last two being the Rock vehicles. I don't know if that's was his way in, if he's got a relationship there, but clearly Black Adam, another Warner Brothers DC project, that might have been what sealed the deal for him. For those of you not familiar with the Wonder Twins, you clearly did not watch the Hanna-Barbera Super Friends cartoon when you were growing up, reruns of it, at least from the 60s.
Yep.
But the Wonder Twins are a pair of alien siblings named Zan and Jaina, who are created for the aforementioned Super Friends cartoon show. They have not strange, but kind of nondescript, odd-looking, elf-like purple costumes. They even have pointy elf ears. They have transformation powers. They need to be touching each other in order to activate these powers, usually by touching each other's hands and saying, Wonder Twins power, activate. And Jaina can turn into any animal, similar to like an Animal Man or a Beast Boy kind of thing. While Zan can turn into water or any form of water. Now, there's been a lot of jokes made about the disparity between these two power sets, how she can be any animal and he can just be water, ice, or,
maybe some snow in there.
Yeah, but I've also read that there have been incarnations of this character where he's turned into like sentient ice monsters or like giant ice creatures and things like that. So there is some wiggle room for him to actually do some cool stuff.
That's slightly more useful than him just blowing across the screen as a squall or something.
Yes, or being carried by his sister, who was transformed into an eagle, carrying him as water in a bucket in her talons and dumping him on like a fire to put out the fire.
And then
Just
what happens
strange
to
stuff
him?
like that. Yeah, that's a great question. He probably turns into steam from the fire, but then can probably turn back into himself. What happens if you take what happens if Zan
conservation of matter and all
into,
that, like the biologist in me's kicking back in, all right.
what if Zan turns into, like, say, a bucket of water, and you take a cup of that water and separate it? Is he able to turn back into himself? Or does he turn back into himself with like a missing leg or something?
Also, does he transform and make the bucket too? Or is he just transform into, does he have to like stand in the bucket and then transform into water?
My guess is that in the Super Friends cartoon, they didn't care about that, and he probably also became the bucket. But because let's be honest, that Super Friends cartoon cutting a lot of corners and jumping over a lot of logic. I think it would be hilarious if he had to stand in a bucket of water and then turn into water, because otherwise he would just go all over the place, right? Like he's got to like have containment ready, unless he's going to be ice first. Anyway, we're getting that's not off topic. We're just kind of getting into the weeds on the Wonder Twins. But I think this is great. There's recently been within the last, I'd say probably 2-3 years, DC did a new Wonder Twins limited series that was very funny. It was very good. It was very like leaning into the strangeness, campiness of these characters, how they kind of are members of the Justice League, kind of, or like friends to the Justice League, but they're clearly not as capable, or maybe they don't think they are and they end up being, that kind of thing. I think if this movie kind of goes in that direction where it's more of a comedic take, where it's more of an Ant-Man style,
right. Doesn't take itself a little too seriously.
I don't understand how they could do anything other than this. If they're making a dark and gritty Wonder Twins movie, I'm out. I don't think that's going to work.
Wonder Twins noir.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really got to be like Ant-Man, Shazam, kind of family-friendly style, and I think that could really work if it was about them. Because they're aliens, so it's like a fish out of water kind of thing, trying to assimilate, especially if you keep them as like teenagers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's literally could be a fish that is not in the bucket of brother water.
Oh god, we're down a different rabbit hole. Let's avoid that rabbit hole.
I thought about it. I thought how gross it sounded before I said it, and then I said it anyway. They could be, yeah, like if they keep them as teenagers, it could be, it could be like a high school drama or something like that. They could be like trying to fit in with people at school. Like that's how the comic book was that I recently read, which is why I'm thinking about it.
Right.
And how they just felt like outcasts, but also felt like outcasts for the Justice League, but had these powers and kind of figuring out how to use them and make their way and carve out their own like kind of space. I don't know. I think this could be great if they nail the tone of it. I think it could be great. I don't think he's worked on comedies before, We're the Millers and stuff like that. So I feel like this director might be a good fit for this. I can't say, I haven't seen Rampage and I haven't seen Black Adam yet. I'm gonna, but and I don't know how much he was involved in that. Black Adam certainly doesn't seem like a family comedy as much as it seems like a balls to the wall action movie, but who knows? I'm sure there's some levity in there as well. But yeah, I don't know. That's mostly me talking a lot about the Wonder Twins. Steve, do you have any?
Not really. I really know nothing about the Wonder Twins outside of the fact that they were in that Super Friends cartoon. That's literally the only connection I've ever had to them, and a couple of awkward references in, like, I think it was Simpsons or Family Guy or one of those shows.
Sure.
So
yeah.
Beyond that, like the knowledge of that is completely minimal. But that may be from DC standpoint, like you were talking, that may be a good thing, and where they're starting to, like, everyone knows the Batman, Superman, even Aquaman, Flash, the top tier Justice Leaguers and the Beat Squad, even though, you know what I mean. As far as public perception, but starting to get into some of these, like you were saying, Blue Beetle, these guys, various other projects they're doing. especially I keep wanting to call it Dark Avengers because it's the analog, but
Yeah.
Justice League Dark. Any of that can be something where they get new people in that don't need that background or don't automatically assume, oh, it's another Clark Kent movie. Here we go.
Right. Yeah.
It could put new eyes on Star Trek. Or I was reading the next part of the show notes.
We're gonna get there.
It could put new eyes on anything that DC's doing that is not
Yeah.
of that top tier that everybody knows, and it may pay off for them, especially with basically look. It all comes back to look at Guardians, or even for that matter, look at the original pre-Avengers movies, like
Yeah.
the whole Iron Man thing. He was not an A-lister by any stretch.
Yeah. I don't think there's. I never. Like you can't. I don't think you can say enough to people who don't realize. You can't say enough that no one gave a shit about Iron Man before they made an Iron Man movie. Like just.
I had a couple of Iron Man comics because I saw Fing Fang Foom on the cover and wanted to read them because there was a giant dragon in them.
Yeah, I don't think I ever owned an Iron Man comic. He was in I had Avengers books that he was in, or
Right.
I knew him because he was a part of the gang or whatever. But
Right.
he's not interesting to me. He just looks like a robot. He didn't even look that interesting to me, really.
Yeah. Especially early iterations, but
yeah.
I mean, in hindsight, Demon in a Bottle and that whole thing was phenomenal, but it's nobody knew outside of being huge into it. Nobody knew Iron Man.
And that Demon in the Bottle was in the 80s or 70s even. So by the
it had already by the time we got there, it was already gone.
Yeah,
and by the time the movies came out, nobody knew anything.
Cared. Yeah, exactly. So I agree. This could be. It's we were talking about. We've talked about the same thing with DC has done with Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Peacemaker is a way lesser known character than even the Wonder Twins, and now he's in one of the most. Yes, and he's in one of the most popular shows. His first season of his show just ended, and it's one of the highest rated shows in the world.
Yeah.
So that's insane.
I'm not gonna lie. Spoiler alert for later. I looked at my wife at the end of Peacemaker and said, "This is one of the most. This is some of the most fun I've ever had watching a TV show."
Yes. Incredible series. And we are gonna do our final episode of Peacemaker recap, Peacemaker speech taker. What do we end up calling it?
I don't know.
Doesn't make sense. We might have to abandon that rhyme idea. Hawkeye Talkeye was like a gift, and then the other ones have been a struggle. Anyway, yes, this could honestly be a thing like that, and it could, if they take the right tone to it, if they do make it like a family kind of comedy, action comedy or whatever, you could have people watching it that don't even realize it's a DC thing.
Yeah,
and that's that's what they want. They want to broaden their horizons. It can't always be dark, gritty Batman stuff. There's got to be some Shazams in there and some Wonder Womans in there, and this could be just another branch, and that's great. It's great.
Absolutely.
Super excited about it. So, as Steve spoiled by his slip of the tongue earlier, just so excited to talk about a franchise that we rarely talk about on this show, just because Steve and I aren't really into it. I respect the hell out of it. I gotta say, it's not that I don't like it. I don't want any angry Trekkies coming at this show. All the love to you. Respect you and respect your love for this show. Just something that I never really got into. But we recognize that it's very important to just general nerddom.
Yeah.
Nerd life.
Yeah, it has a lot of impact that's gone through all of pop culture.
Yes, influenced countless other shows and movies and everything. Stories. Yes. And that's Star Trek we're talking about. And this is pretty big news in the world of Star Trek. Paramount is negotiating a deal for a new Star Trek movie with the cast of the 2009 Star Trek film and its sequels. J.J. Abrams, director of the first two. I don't think he did Star Trek Beyond. Did he direct Star Trek Beyond? I'm sure he produced it. I don't think he directed it.
I don't know.
But he directed Star Trek 2009 and Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah.
Yes. J.J. Abrams made this announcement at a Paramount Investors Day meeting celebration thing, saying that they were planning to bring back the original cast: Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, John Cho, and Simon Pegg, to begin filming a fourth film before the end of the year. Now, this is huge news because they've been trying to make a fourth one of these for a very long time, and it had all been abandoned. as far as I knew. I think I never saw Star Trek Beyond, but I heard it was very good. I saw the 2009. I liked a lot. The Into Darkness I thought was okay. I didn't hate it like some people hated it, but I didn't love it like other people love it. I thought it was okay. And the third one I heard was very good, and I just have never gotten around to seeing it. I think it's because Into Darkness was just meh for me. But
right, and same here. I mean, Star Trek's weird with me. I had like growing up, I would watch like Next Generation episodes, but never follow the series. Like it was so serialized, but because it was all in syndication or whatever, or maybe it's just when I was able to see them, there was no overarching story. It was like you kind of got to know some of the characters, and then like I'd be watching one episode that they were dealing with the Borg, and the next they'd be on Vulcan or wherever, and it's like, okay, this is kind of cool, but I have no way to follow it. And then never really like watched some of the original stuff. But the 2009 reboot was kind of cool. Like I liked the fresh faces, I liked the new take on it. But yeah, it's the same kind of deal. Right.
I know there's a lot of like traditional Star Trek fans that don't like it because they felt like it was too much like Star Wars because like the pacing and stuff of it, and that's honestly kind of why I liked it so much, I think. And you know, as you were just talking, Steve, I kind of realized I don't know why I'm not a bigger Star Trek fan as an adult, because when I was a kid, I watched the original series reruns. I watched the cartoon that they made.
I forgot about that.
I watched Next Generation a ton. And I've seen a handful of the original movies too, not the entire series, but like I've seen Wrath of Khan, I've seen the first one, and I think at least one other one. But like, why didn't that continue for me? I don't know. I can't tell you the answer to that. It just didn't. But
I can say in a random Syracuse area plug, if you have not seen the Star Trek movies and you want to, some local guys are doing a podcast called Where No Mom Has Gone Before, where the two brothers are watching the Star Trek movies with their mother for the first time.
That is such a good idea for a podcast. That is such a good idea for a podcast.
Yeah, it's I think, is it Casey Ryan? I think that hosts Super Pod Hero Cast. I think he and his brother are watching through the whole series with their mother.
That is such a good idea. Such a good idea.
Yeah, I've watched it or listened to a couple of the episodes. It's really entertaining.
Wow.
What are you and Carol gonna bust out now?
I don't know. I'm literally thinking of what I could make my mom watch.
There you go.
That would be fun to hear talk about. But anyway, yeah, they've been trying to make a fourth just a new Star Trek film for a long time. And originally, Steve, I don't know if you know this, I just remember hearing this, that the original idea was to bring back Chris Hemsworth, who had a brief cameo as Kirk's dad in the first 2009 Star Trek movie. They're through some kind of time warp thing. We're going to bring him back. And so it would be like Kirk and his dad and like teaming up on an adventure or something like that.
Kirk and his now Jack dad compared to when he was his dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. And I think clearly that idea probably came from like, this other guy is really famous now, so let's get them with these other guys that are really famous and make a movie. And then that got abandoned. I think there was talk to just do like not a reboot, but like a different cast and kind of like move forward with a new cast. And the most batshit crazy one, Steve, I don't know if you've heard this, but we got real close to having a new Star Trek film written and possibly directed by Quentin Tarantino. Did you hear that?
No.
That's not a rumor. That is for sure the truth. He had pitched a Star Trek movie to Paramount, and they were going for it. They were going with it. And I don't know, it fell apart. Maybe he lost interest in it, or the studio did, or something. But like that was in development, a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie. And I'm sure that it wasn't with this cast. I'm sure it was like his own thing, so he could do whatever crazy shit that he wanted to do with it.
I can say that intrigues me much more than having J.J. Abrams back on anything, but that's may just be bitter from what he did to my last fandom.
Your last beloved franchise. Well, I don't know. This doesn't say that he is directing it. And we recently, in the last couple of months, heard a quote from JJ saying that he wasn't interested in directing movies that had prominent IP. He was more interested in doing his own stuff. This was in, I think he was talking about the Justice League Dark stuff and like the stuff that he's involved with DC's producing the Michael B. Jordan Superman movie and Justice League Dark stuff for HBO Max. And he was saying, and like that Batman cartoon also, but he's saying that he's not really interested in directing them. He just wants to like produce them and find the right voices to tell those stories.
Yeah, it'll more just be EP credits and, you know, him overseeing the stuff.
Yeah, there's no way that he doesn't have his Bad Robot company is not involved in this, as much as I'm sure it's going to be involved in the HBO Max stuff, as well as, you know, who knows if they make another Star Wars movie, there may be a shout out to Bad Robot just because of what his involvement with the series in the last few years. So
sorry,
someday we're gonna have to really dig into it. No, that's okay. That's okay. I have a love-hate relationship with J.J. Abrams. I gotta say.
Oh, I agree. Like, some of his stuff has been phenomenal, and others, unfortunately, the stuff that was hot garbage was the stuff that I had loved previously. So it's like, yeah. Here we are. But speaking of that fandom,
speaking of Star Wars,
we're gonna head right into Star Wars from Star Trek.
Speaking of trying not to get too involved in talking about Star Wars, we're gonna talk about Star Wars
because it's been officially announced that the maestro himself, all 90 years old of John Williams, will be back to score part of the Obi-Wan series. So no details on what he's scoring. I would assume it's, you know, some reworks of classic themes and stuff like that, or who else is going to be working with him, because it did say it was. I don't think it was, or I don't think he's going to be handling the whole thing, right? From what I don't believe it's
entire. Yes, I read it's not entirely him. Yeah, I guess this was just kind of like leaked. I think like I don't know that they really even meant to announce it, but it's just kind of was found out because he had been conducting stuff already. Like the article I read referred to it as under tight security. He had been working on some stuff with the LA Symphony or something, whatever orchestra he usually conducts with. And it's not confirmed if he's writing like entirely new pieces or music, or he's just expanding on like the themes that he's already written and like kind of new arrangements of themes or compositions, things like that. Who knows? But this is cool because we all thought he was done. He said that episode 9 was going to be his last involvement in the Star Wars universe. He was going to be done after episode 9. But he thought wrong, and so did we. And
maybe he wanted to give Obi-Wan his own actual theme, because over the course, you know, the leitmotif that is always associated with Obi-Wan kind of evolved after A New Hope into the Force theme.
Yes.
So,
yeah, that was originally Obi-Wan's theme, was written as that, but then it became just like, to coincide with the Force in general. And that is possibly my favorite Star Wars theme from all of Star Wars scoring.
I'm partial to Yoda's Dagobah stuff.
Yoda's theme is great too. That'd be my second pick for sure, Steve.
Yep.
Nailed it. But I think this is cool. He came back. You might remember he came back to write a theme for Han Solo for the Solo movie. And I remember reading some weird shit when he came back for Solo. People were like mad that he was coming back to write a theme, and they're like, well, they hired this other composer. It should be his score, and they're getting John Williams to write a theme that doesn't belong to this other composer. It's like, yeah, it's John Williams, and he wrote all the themes for all the other like main characters, and he never wrote one for Han Solo. Like, let him write one for Han Solo.
And I guarantee if you ask the other guy, he'd be like, it's John Williams. Like, yes, he could work with me. I don't care.
Yes,
I'm all about it.
Yeah, it'd be like if I'm making an album with my band or something, and someone's like, yo, do you want Paul McCartney to co-write a song with you for your band's next album? And I'd be like, nah.
It's okay. Like, I'll pass. It's like, no, it's John Williams.
This is my band and my music, Paul. You stay away. Like, who's going to say that?
Yeah. Crazy.
Welcome the genius when the genius wants to play with you. Let them play with you.
And if anyone wants, we're just going to plug all the other podcasts today, because if anyone wants a deep dive into Star Wars music, David W. Collins and the Soundtrack Show, and prior to that, he did a bunch of stuff on, I think it was Star Wars Oxygen, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. That was some of his best analysis, but I think it's lost to time at this point. But the Soundtrack Show, he breaks down all 9 movies, well, all 12 movies, whatever there is, 11. 12.
He does a lot of them. Yeah, I don't know.
But like literally note by note score breakdowns, exactly like you, so
Yeah,
solid. Well worth checking out.
It's a great listen. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I don't know why anyone would be mad that he's coming back for this. Hopefully nobody is. I don't know. I'm sure I don't know the name of who else is scoring the series, but
I don't know if they've announced it yet, so I haven't heard anything.
they did announce who's scoring Andor, which I don't remember. But yeah, no, it was great. You know what? This is Star Wars related, but totally not related to what we're talking about at all. I last weekend took a trip up north to the Adirondacks with my wife and her family and my son. And on the way up, we listened to a Star Wars audiobook. I don't remember the name of it. It was about Chewbacca, a Wookiee and something. And the story was Han and Han gets kidnapped and Chewie is forced to go on this like salvage mission to retrieve an item in order to like save Han by this person that's holding him captive. Teamed up with a bounty hunter and also K2SO. So it's a really cool, and it's like it's like made for kids, like a kid's book. So I don't know if it's technically canon, but it could be because it didn't disrupt anything else. It was basically like, post Solo, pre Rogue One, obviously, and it was great. And it was like this like fun little like adventure that really made me want more from young Han Solo and Chewbacca. Like the movie Solo, I don't know, you and I haven't really talked about it. I have no hate for that movie at all. Like it's not perfect, but it's fun, and it's not something that I wanted, but it's something that I enjoy watching when I revisit it. I think it's a lot of fun, and now that I think the initial outrage over it not being Harrison Ford or whatever is more or less past, I want way more of that. And I also, it made me realize that Solo specifically, I think would have worked so much better as a miniseries rather than a movie.
Yeah.
Like if they had just waited to make that movie until they had Disney Plus, and then it was like a Solo 6-episode miniseries, that would have been so cool.
Yeah,
so good.
It came a couple years before its time. Like,
yeah,
if that was on as a miniseries, then you end up getting the spin-off of Maul and Crimson Dawn with Kira.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I still want to see.
I want a sequel to Solo in Disney Plus miniseries form.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Yeah, give me Maul ruling the underground and Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo with Eunice, whatever his last name is Chewbacca, doing whatever they like, whatever their travails take them. I want to see that now. I
want more of it.
We need that now.
Yeah, for sure. Like like listening to this book simultaneously made me want to rewatch Solo and Rogue One. It's like hearing like Chewbacca on an adventure and hearing him interact with K2SO. I was like, I need to experience both of these characters again. So anyway, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, if you're listening, we want more Solo, and we want that damn Lando show that you told us was coming out over a year ago that we haven't heard anything about since. What's going on with that? Lock down Donald Glover. Give him all the money that he wants. Give it to him.
I need two things out of Donald Glover. I need him to do that Lando show, and I need him to show up whenever they bring Miles into the MCU as Aaron Davis Prowler. Those are the only two things I asked from him. And also, well, they did announce Atlanta's ending after 4 seasons, so I was going to say to keep going on with Atlanta, but if that's going to end, that's going to end.
Also, keep making great music. I'm a big fan of Childish Gambino. So, anyway.
He's just a talent.
All around genius dude. So, that's Star Wars. Anything other Star Wars related things that you want to talk about while we're talking about Star Wars?
Outside of the fact that we can usually talk for another hour about it, no, I think we're good.
Easy. All right.
You want to talk about the kids, how we were kind of talking before about kids stuff. My son finally got into Freemaker Adventures as of this morning. So.
Is that any good? That's new, right? The new Lego Star Wars thing?
Yeah, I think it came out a couple years ago, and then they did Droid Tales. That's the sequel to it. So he watched the Droid Tales stuff, and now he's going back and watching the original. The Droid Tales has some spoilery type stuff for the main trilogy. So whatever. At this
Okay.
point, he's been spoiled on everything except the big reveal. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, whatever. You can watch whatever you want. He's to the point where he's like, so when Anakin became Vader, I'm like, oh boy, I screwed up somewhere, but we're good.
Yeah. No,
So
that's fine. Um. Yeah, I saw that come up on Disney Plus the other day,
yeah,
and I hadn't really even heard of it. I don't think I looked it up a little bit after that. And I was like, "Ooh, what is this?" And
yeah, it's
how?
kind of like canon adjacent, but it's fun.
Yeah, because my son just recently finished watching. Netflix has this Jurassic World Lego series
Oh really?
that he liked very much, and then he said, "Is there a Lego Star Wars show like the Jurassic World one?" And I was like, "I think there might be."
I think there's like 3 or 4 at this point.
There's
so.
a few of them. Yeah, some of them are shorts, and some of them are actual,
Yep.
like an actual series. So, yeah, I will definitely look into that and try to get him to watch it.
Yeah.
'Cause that'd
Oh,
be awesome.
there's a BB-8 shorts thing on Disney Plus too. That
Yes,
is, it's like 30-second clips, and they're the
very
most
short.
adorable things ever.
Yes, incredibly shorts. Incredibly
Yeah.
short shorts. Yes. All right. Well, thanks for that recommendation, bud.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no
it.
problem.
Moving from movies and TV into comic books, we had to skip over most of our comic news last week. We had to ditch some big stories about DC's Dark Crisis and all this stuff, but because we had such a packed week last week, but we're back. Some really cool comic news.
We were recording until the day after last week.
Yeah, I know. It went long.
Yep.
I blame the Multiverse of Madness, but we got some great news this week about a reprint coming for the Justice League of America and Avengers crossover. This is coming this year, I think, sometime. I don't know if there's an exact date. I think they're just working
I
on
didn't
it.
see anything.
I didn't see one. As you know, as you may remember, and we talked about it on this podcast back in December, the great artist and writer George Perez announced that he has terminal pancreatic cancer and that he would not be seeking treatment and preferred to spend his remaining days just enjoying his life and his family and his friends. That's what he has been doing. Shortly after he made this announcement, there were many calls to have this piece that he was the artist on, JLA Avengers crossover, reprinted. It's been out of print for a long time because it's DC and Marvel together, and they can seldom, agree on those things enough to
get
do
their
anything
shit
with
together.
them. Yeah, exactly. So, some wonderful people apparently made it happen. The Hero Initiative, which is a foundation that was co-founded by George Perez, it helps comic creators in need of financial assistance. They have gotten the sign off from both DC and Marvel to reprint only 7,000 copies of this series, which is a huge bummer, and I think a huge mistake, because there's going to be a lot of people that want to pay money for this reprint, and it's a bummer that they're limiting it to that. Why would they limit it to that much? Like, they're gonna make so much money, and I guess it's because
at $30, like the plan is to reprint it at $29.99 for those 7,000 copies, and at that price point, that's still above where a standard four issue trade would be. Like, it's $10, $13 more, and people will still be buying this thing flying off the shelves.
I mean, I think it's because the money goes to the Hero Initiative and not to DC and Marvel, right?
Right. It was probably something where they could just get the rights to reprint X number or something like that.
Yeah.
Which
or they
seems
didn't
dumb
want
too, but
anything over that, and they're starting to lose money on something. But
yeah.
While this is amazing because this will exist again, and that money will help George Perez, all those are wonderful things. I have already seen some comic book store owners kind of unhappy with the limited quantities because they're making the comic book store owners the bad guys, basically. They're the ones that have to say, it's not going to be available on Amazon. They're shipping it directly to stores. So the owners are going to have to say, sorry, I only got 3 of these and they're all spoken for, or whatever.
And that's, since it's going through Diamond instead of through Hero Initiative or whatever, it really kind of puts that onus, like you said, on the small mom and pop shops where they have no say at how much they get. They literally,
Yeah.
like, I've seen the back end. They put in the allotment they want, and if they get it, they get it, and if they don't, you're
Yep.
screwed.
Yep. They
And
get what they get.
like, I know before I had, long time set up polls, if there was something I wanted, there was a good chance I wasn't going to end up with it, because somebody else that was, that's been pulling there for years, like, and Jeff back in the day, Jeff Watkins, with our former favorite comic shop around, he
Cloud City.
I was talking to him, and he was like running down of, hey, we can put in for 50 copies of this, and they'll give us 7, and then we got to figure out who to get them or who to give them to. And I was like, oh, that makes sense and makes you less the bad guy. But I also understand that, and some people don't seem to.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is certainly great news for George Perez that his work will exist again.
Yep.
I wish it was more than 7,000 copies. I'm not in control of that. I do plan on asking my comic book store to give me a copy. I'm sure that they'll say, we'll see. You know, I don't know that my heart's not set on it because I don't know if it's going to work out, but that is super cool news. And I don't know, I hope they just make it digital or something. I just want to read it. I don't know. I've never read the whole thing. I've seen screenshots of pages and stuff. I've just never read the whole series. And I know it's super cool.
Because you can't find it on Marvel Unlimited or DC because they don't know where to distribute it.
Exactly. Oh, I just remembered a story that I wanted to put in the comics section and I forgot about, but we're just going to go off the cuff. Steve, have you read about the total destruction of Comixology by Amazon within the last week or two?
I have, yes. And I basically read that it was happening and haven't gotten any details. So please fill me in and get me up to speed.
I don't know all the details, but we reported several weeks ago that Amazon had acquired Comixology and was shutting down the Comixology website, and it was going to be an offshoot of Amazon.com, basically folding everything in. Now they're starting to change the user interface. They're starting to change interaction with the books. I guess Comixology used to have a 2-page spread view for like desktop view where you could look at like you were reading a book, like you open the comic book and you see both pages. That's kind of like how a comic is supposed to be taken in, supposed to be seen, like 2 pages at a time, 2 open pages. Completely got rid of that. That doesn't exist anymore. Apparently the user interface is horrendous. Comedian Patton Oswalt was tweeting aggressively about how terrible he thought the interface was and how it was very not user friendly and just horrible. And I mean, he was probably the highest profile person I saw complaining about it, but I definitely saw a lot of other people saying, Comixology, what is going on? Amazon, you have ruined this for me. And that people describing the guide reader and like the interface as just being quote unquote perfect, and now that they're screwing with it, it's horrible apparently, and pissing a lot of people off. So
I thought Marvel, when they rolled out the latest iteration of Marvel Unlimited, pissed a lot of people off, but this is egregious. Like I'm looking at I pulled up some of the pictures of what they did to what they did to the experience itself, and it's just like not utilizing appropriate any sort of screen bandwidth, like shrinking pages down, taking spreads out, like making it so you have to flip through a 2-page spread that should show up, whether it's zoomed or unzoomed or whatever. I do actually like Marvel in the Unlimited app does. You can read it in what they call phone mode, which is nice on your iPad because it zooms in on each panel.
Yep.
But for spreads, what they do is they zoom in on each of the parts of the spread, so you kind of get to tell the tale like you would be like looking around the whole picture, and then they zoom out and show the whole spread. Yep. And judging by this, they don't do that here anymore.
DC Universe Infinite does the same thing where they'll give you like if it's a splash page, they'll like zoom in on the dialogue so you can read that first, and then the next tap is like zoomed out so you can see the whole page or something like that. And you also can go page, but there's a page view. If you
Right.
just want to go page and zoom in yourself, you can do that too.
Yep.
So options are there. Apparently, Amazon has stripped all those options away from Comixology, which is a huge bummer because I personally have never used Comixology, but I know that it was just the place to go for digital reading comics for so long. I think it was around before Marvel and DC had their own app
for years
for sure.
before.
Years before. So, I mean, get it together or you're probably going to end up losing a lot of subscribers. And I don't know. Who could have guessed that a multi-billion dollar corporation coming in and buying something would have ruined that thing? That's never happened before, right?
Never happens. Never.
Corporate takeovers? That's never ruined the magic of any small special thing.
Even magic. Sorry. Another rant for a different day. But yeah.
All right, moving on to something that isn't our rundown. George R.R. Martin, famed author of the Game of Thrones series, Song of Ice and Fire books, teaming up with Marvel Comics.
Is he though? Because you have to actually write the books instead
as
of
we
just,
know.
I would say famed former publisher of said books.
If there's one thing that we know about George R.R. Martin, it's that he loves not writing Game of Thrones books.
Yes.
Loves not doing it. Will find any excuse to not sit down at his typewriter and write a Game of Thrones book. And this is just one more excuse, ladies and gentlemen, because he's teamed up with Marvel Comics for a Wild Card series. Wild Card is a series of books I have never heard of before, but apparently is a superhero anthology novel series that was masterminded by Martin and edited by him originally.
Yep.
Something like 40-something different authors telling an anthology series about superheroes of unique backgrounds or whatever.
Yep.
It's now being adapted into a comic book form, starting off with a miniseries. It's going to debut June 1st. George Martin, I don't know that he's writing anything, but he is producing it. I don't know what that means, if he's going to be like an editing capacity like he was with the novels or what, but that's what he's doing instead of writing Winds of Winter or whatever the next one's supposed to be.
Yeah,
Dance of Dragons?
No, Dance with Dragons is the last
that one came out.
Yep.
Yeah, something Winds of Winter, right?
Winds of Winter and then Dream of Spring.
Yeah, there we go.
And we'll be dreaming for a while. But
yeah, certainly seems that way.
Wildcards has been one of those things that's kept him off of Game of Thrones for a long, long time. Like, he always seems to go back to that. That's definitely one of his passion projects. And apparently Game of Thrones is no longer said passion project because we haven't heard hide nor hair. So,
I mean, I've never read the Game of Thrones books. I'm not like super invested. I liked the show until I didn't. I don't think we're ever getting those books. I just don't.
As someone who's been reading them since the early 2000s, I agree with you.
Yeah, I cannot see that happening. He is doing too much other stuff. And it's not like there's just one more. Right. There's one that he's been working on for 1,000,000 years, and there's one after that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't even get the one he's been working on for 1,000,000 years. There's no way he's going to finish the other one.
No,
ever.
No,
I just don't think that's going to happen. So anyway, sorry all you Game of Thrones fans out there, but you got to reset your expectations, I think. Anyway, something super cool I'm excited about. DC has announced Aquaman Andromeda. Get this, a deep sea horror miniseries starring Aquaman for their Black Label imprint, written by Ram V with artist Christian Ward. The art for this looks great. They I think they released like a cover and a couple panels. Man, if there's a character that lends itself to horror that I hadn't ever considered before, it's Aquaman. And it's perfect. Like, you don't know the ocean is terrifying. There's so much terrifying shit in the ocean. Of course this makes sense.
Right. It's like the perfect marriage that you never knew needed to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I never thought I would see that or want that, but as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, that's going to be amazing. Like, just based on James Wan kind of touched on it in the Aquaman movie when he goes to the trench and all those creatures. Like, there's like a good 5-minute chunk of Aquaman that is a straight up James Wan horror movie, and I just love it. It's so good. that's when the third act just kicks everything into high gear for me of that movie.
Yep.
But yeah, this is dope. I think it's something about how he has to go to like a very deep spot in the ocean, and it has like a couple sunken spaceships. So there's also like sci-fi elements in there as well. Like, so sci-fi mixed with deep sea horror, terrifying creatures. I'm down. It sounds awesome. Yeah. Give it to me.
I probably won't pull it, but it sounds pretty intriguing.
Yeah, I might wait for a trade. I might get issue 1 and wait for a trade, but damn, I'm down for that. Super cool.
Oh, I did just get in the many deaths of many lives of Layla Starr, many deaths of Layla Starr.
It's deaths. Yeah.
Whatever Ranvi's wonderful magnum opus from last year was.
Critically acclaimed book. Yeah,
came in this week. I haven't had a chance to. It's in the pile, so we'll report at some point. But that, like, just thumbing through it, the art looks beautiful too. So
my pile is getting out of control, where my wife said to me tonight, she's like, I feel like everywhere I look in this house is a stack of comic books. You need to get your shit together and read some of these things. I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. I do. You're right.
Yeah.
I went to the comic book store for the first time in a while this weekend, and I didn't think that there would be that much in my pull list because I had kind of eliminated stuff, but I guess I hadn't been there in a while. There was at least 2 issues of like the 4 books that I'm pulling, plus like a couple special request things and some stuff on the shelf that I wanted to pick up. So I came back with a lot more than I thought I would, plus the stuff that I'm in the middle of. Oof.
I somehow did the smart thing, and I got there on Wednesday before they had filled the rack. So I didn't have anything that I could wander over and take a look at. And I was like, oh, wow, I got out of here a lot later.
Yeah, lucky you. Lucky you. This week in comics, we got Amazing Spider-Man 90. Haven't mentioned Amazing Spider-Man in a couple of weeks, but trust me, it's still coming out pretty much every week.
Yep.
Still there. Still happening. Black Hammer Reborn, number 9. Aquaman, number 1. Black Widow, 14. Blue and Gold, number 6. Catwoman, number 40. It's the second issue, I think, of a new creative team on Catwoman. Deadly Class, number 51. Ghost Rider, number 1. Brand new number 1 for the flaming head motorcycle dude. Do you think he's going to show up in anything? Multiverse of Madness would be a good spot for Ghost Rider, I think, to show up.
It might.
Looks terrifying. Ghost Rider's terrifying.
I think, it can be. Yeah. Because this comics iteration is a new Johnny Blaze.
That's right.
So I'll be curious. I mean, Diego Luna as Robbie Reyes in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, he nailed the character. And I don't want to see more of Nick Cage, OG Ghost Rider.
It's multiverse, buddy. Could be Nick Cage. Nick Cage could be on the Nick Cage as Johnny Blaze on the Illuminati. Maybe he's in one of those chairs with a giant flaming skull.
Ooh. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, who ended up being the Black Panther in that iteration of Wakanda, is on the Illuminati.
Dude, I think you just cracked something. I'm serious. I think you just did, but you don't know it.
Oh.
Because you never saw What If. In the What If series, Killmonger became Black Panther in the What If animated series. Yes.
Huh.
And dude, I think that's going to happen now. Now I'm convinced that's going to happen based on this alone.
That's awesome.
Because
I don't think they're using the Captain Carter and
they're using the evil Doctor Strange that was also in the What If. Dude, I think we're going to see Michael B. Jordan. I think we're going to see Michael B. Jordan as Black Panther on the Illuminati. I'm saying it right now. Sunday, February 20th. I am saying that that's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen anyone else say that. And you just referenced it and put it in my brain. This is a Multiverse Report exclusive. We can confirm Michael B. Jordan cast in Multiverse of Madness. We can't really confirm it, but my money's on that now. My money is on that shit happening.
Now I got to actually finish What If, just to see how plausible it is.
You should, dude. It's like fun. Just go into it. It's like, it's not great, but there's some it's a real up and down. Like, some episodes are really fun. Yeah. And some are like, man.
I think being able to do one or something. I watched the first 2. So I saw T'Challa as Star-Lord. Which was awesome.
Yes.
And then I just never got back around. I think the show didn't grab me enough to have me on the weekly release train. But
Yeah.
going back and binging it, I'll probably end up like actually blowing through it real quick because I'll like it.
Yeah, give it a chance. It's fun.
Yeah.
Especially now that you and I are 100% sure and guaranteeing Michael B. Jordan will return as.
Do I now have to put like
go
back onto the YouTube and put like a disclaimer at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah.
We're 100% sure. We are not 100% sure.
What you should do, though, is you should pull this clip of us talking about it.
Yep.
And when that happens on May 6th,
yep,
we are sharing the shit out of that video.
Absolutely.
And it
we
cuts
called this
right
on
here.
February 20th.
Yeah. The video ends right here after me saying we're sharing the shit out of this video.
There you go.
Anyway, what we're talking about, comic books?
I think so.
Ghost Rider, Harley Quinn number 12, House of Slaughter number 5, Human Target number 5, John Carpenter's Tales of Sci-Fi Civilians number 1, Monstrous number 37, Ride of Dracula. Is it Rise? Sorry, autocorrect. It's supposed to be Ride of Dracula would be great. What's Dracula's ride? Car, motorcycle, boat.
I'm thinking
shipping container.
Like old like carriage. Definitely horse-drawn carriage.
Oh yeah, okay. So maybe not as cool. What would modern Dracula? Modern Dracula is alive right now. What's his mode of transportation besides turning into a bat?
I think it'd be a horse-drawn carriage that looks like Santa's sleigh with like
today
bats carrying it or something.
2022, he's getting pulled by bats on a sleigh.
Hey, if Santa can get around the world in the night, I think he'll have I think we'll hit the time frame. Weird things can happen, man. Weird things can happen. All of my ideas can't be gold, Mike.
No, I think that is gold. And I was just going to say, I want to write like a comic book one shot of Dracula being like the Santa Claus of Halloween somehow and being pulled in a sleigh by bats.
That's great.
I think that would be great. Anyway, can we get through this list? No. Silk number 2 and X Deaths of Wolverine number 3. All comic books that are out this week. As previously mentioned, I have a enormous stack of things that I have to read. My time, as previously mentioned, I'm a musician. My time in February this is my 7th year doing it, of writing a songwriting challenge, participating in a songwriting challenge where I write and record 14 songs during the month of February. So my February is pretty stolen by that challenge. I don't have really room for anything else, but I guarantee you, March 1st, I'm sitting down with a stack of comic books and cruising right through them. I'm dying to get to them.
There you go.
Yeah. It was a saving grace about being out of town, as I mentioned earlier, with my wife's family last weekend, is that I couldn't really work on those songs very much. So I was just like, I guess I just have to read volume 4 of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. That's been sitting on my desk for a long time.
Oh, shucks.
And guess what? Brilliant. Amazing.
Yeah, you need to pare your list down so that I can get the pile that's over there of books that I want you to read over to you.
I know. And you need to pare your list down so I can give you a similar stack once you're prepared for it.
Yeah, they keep putting good stuff out, though, so the list never gets short.
I know. Same boat here, buddy. All right, we're going to cruise through some one-shots here before we get to our Peacemaker recap, season finale recap of Peacemaker. Starting off one-shots with Stranger Things finally getting a season 4 release date from Netflix. Good news, bad news. It's two different parts. They're dropping it in 2 different parts. First half coming out on May 27th, second half on July 1st. I guess I don't really know why they're doing that. Why do you think they're doing that, Steve?
I don't know. Maybe they've got some things they got to finish in post.
I don't know.
Netflix is actually trying to shift more, or I thought I'd heard they're trying to shift more towards a weekly release.
Say it. Yeah. I was just thinking that too.
Stuff. So
because I just saw somebody on Twitter, I don't remember who it was, talk about how Peacemaker, Book of Boba Fett, whatever, what have you, other streaming services have really kind of showed the weekly model is the way to go if you want people talking about your show. Because people are talking about Peacemaker, they're talking about Book of Boba Fett week after week, they're talking about other whatever shows that are coming out week after week. But they also reference a whole season of Ozark was just dropped on Netflix a couple weeks ago and just came and went and no one's talking about it.
Right.
Because people that watch Ozark watched it and then there's no suspense. It's just everyone knows what it is. It's over and there's no dialogue. There's no conversation in the culture about it because it's gone. We got 8 weeks of discussing how great Peacemaker was, and we got 7 weeks of talking about how up and down Boba Fett was, and whether or not we loved it. We talked about it every week, so I could see them doing this as a way to hold on to the conversation. I'm sure whatever, I think it's like 9 episodes I read, so it's either one half's going to be 4, one half's going to be 5. I guarantee you the end of the first half, whether it's episode 4, episode 5, going to be like a big cliffhanger. People are going to be talking about it all of June, and then we'll see what happens on July 1st. So they also said this is the penultimate season of Stranger Things. So this is the second to last season, and season 5 will be the end of Stranger Things. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
I think
I'd say so.
I think it's getting to be time.
I mean, they've got to be. It's Stranger Things, the college years now, right?
Yeah, kids are looking old. Kids are looking old.
Gotta see. That's the downfalls of youth produced TV shows is they really do grow up that fast.
Yeah. And you also got to say, I got to say that I think that it's good that they know that they're ending. You know, like you never like a genre show like that doesn't have an end in sight, I think is just going to spin its wheels and get boring after a while. So like if they know they got this season and one more, then they can write for that amount of time and they can plan a story, they can plan an arc and get it done. So anyway, Stranger Things. Hooray.
Yeah. I literally clicked off of what I was about to read.
Sorry, dude.
So it was like I went to click on it and I just clicked away from it. But one shots aren't that quick when you keep doing that.
True.
So in other news, the great F. Murray Abraham will voice Konshu in the upcoming Moon Knight series. So this week we got the official first shots of Konshu, which look absolutely amazing. From I mean, we're seeing stills, so we're only seeing some images that they want us to see at this point. Who knows how he'll look in animation or whatever? Because it's kind of hard to have a large skeletal bird beak face and not have it be CGI. Yeah. So
yes.
I guess more to come on what F. Murray Abraham will look like. However, the star of Amadeus, The Name is Rose, Scarface, All the President's Men, Finding Forrester, etc., including Homeland as well, will be officially voicing him. So that's pretty awesome.
He's got a great voice too. So I think I don't know much about Konshu, but like I think it's a great pick.
I don't even know what I had in my head as Konshu's voice. Like I'm gonna have to go back and read a Moon Knight. Actually, what'll happen now that I know that is I'll end up reading Moon Knight and it's like, oh, okay, it's his voice. Great.
Yeah.
So it's been ruined for me at this point, but I'll take it. It's pretty solid.
All right, sticking with Marvel for a second, Loki Season 2 has found its directors. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead will co-direct a majority of Loki Season 2, getting the job, assumedly, based on their work with Marvel. They directed a couple episodes of Moon Knight, as we were just talking about. So I feel like it's surprising that it's been so long. It's been so long that we've heard anything about Loki Season 2, because they ended Season 1 by announcing a Season 2. I assumed they were already in development on Season 2. Seemed like they were not.
Yeah, apparently.
Or they were just like, maybe had just started writing or something. But they only got directors, months after the fact. It seems like they really hadn't really started too much, I guess. But here we are, and we're getting it. So that's good. At some point.
Yeah. I mean, it might have been one of those things. I mean, most likely it's one of those things they knew they didn't need to quite speed through because there's a lot of Marvel TV coming out this year. I don't know if you heard.
That's also true. That's also very true.
So,
and who knows what's going to happen, like, with, I don't know, Marvel's such a regimented thing, like, this can't happen until this happens, and this can't happen until this happens, and if they have a plan for it, then maybe it can't happen until after we see Thor Love and Thunder.
Right.
So,
which is coming up fast.
Yeah, this year.
Crazy to think.
So much happening this year. So much nerdy stuff this year. It's great.
So speaking of nerdy stuff, the Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, which was the anime film that was announced to be based on Helm Hammerhand, if I remember correctly.
Correct, yes.
It has now been given an official release date in April of 2024.
Oh, 4.
So
I thought you were going to say 2. I thought it was
yeah,
this April,
yeah.
Steve.
They
Boo.
announced this thing as if it was, relatively close at
Yes.
hand or in development or whatever. They had title cards. They had all sorts of stuff going.
Yeah, we
Um,
talked about it a couple months ago
yeah.
when it was announced.
So, I was figuring like late this year, maybe, if they'd even
Yeah,
said
me
April
too.
23, that would have been fine.
Yes.
But like,
That's
what? April
why did
24?
why did yeah, why did you even announce it?
Right,
Like,
right. And I get like announcing like when Marvel does it or DC does it where they have all these projects that are leading up to that and
right.
hey, there's this handful, but it was just like, hey, we're doing a movie. Cool. Here you go.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Someday you'll see it.
right.
I thought they were announcing it so it would coincide with the Amazon show. So
Right.
they would like steal some viewers from it or whatever, but
Yeah,
guess not.
drop it before or drop it after the show and like trying to snowball some things together, but
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We don't know much about the first season of Lord of the Rings still. So maybe season 2 will be out in 2024 and that's the idea, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait a lot longer than we thought to see this movie. So,
absolutely.
anyway, that's all the news we got. We're going to move into a Peacemaker recap. So if you haven't seen the season finale of Peacemaker, and by God, why haven't you by now? If you've been watching Peacemaker, you need to see it. You just need to. It's incredible. It's great. It's wonderful. They stick the landing, people. They really, really stick the landing of this just super fun show. So if you haven't seen it, get out of here. Go. Leave now. Now. Goodbye. But before you go, subscribe and like and share us and all that stuff. Do the stuff that Steve always says to do.
Yeah, I was waiting for an awkward pause, and I think I paused a little too much, and people probably would have just dropped. So
That's fine.
before you officially drop, like, subscribe, check us out on themultiverseport.com, The Multiverse Report on all the socials, at MultiverseRPT on Twitter. Send us a line at multiversereport@gmail.com. Again, biggest thing is liking the videos, liking the podcasts, subscribing, and giving us a nice review on whatever your podcatcher of choice is. Ideally, Apple or Spotify or TuneIn or Stitcher, wherever you're consuming said podcasts, because it helps algorithms, and algorithms are how people find us.
It sure does. We want to be found. Let people find us. Help people find us. Do your part today. Chip in. Help the Multiverse Report be found. Anyway, here we go. Peacemaker season finale. Steve, I got some facts for you that I don't know that you know. I don't know that you know.
Well, if I don't know, now I know.
I've been meaning to say it every time we've talked about Peacemaker for the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
But I remember to put it in here for the season finale. And this is just cool, I think. It's a little background. Peacemaker was not a DC Comics creation. Peacemaker was created by Charlton Comics. It was like its own spin-off thing a long time ago, like the 70s or whatever.
I'm following you here.
So eventually, Charlton Comics was going out of business, struggling, selling characters, selling itself. DC bought the rights to Charlton Comics characters. So they all of a sudden had these like relatively popular characters that they were going to like fold into their DC universe of characters, things like that. Right after they were acquired by DC, a little you may have heard of this comic book writer, Alan Moore, went to the editors at DC and said, I have an idea to use all these Charlton characters in a story. And I think it would be great because it would be like uncovering things about them that you didn't know. And it would be cool to see like real life, see the characters that people are associated with have to go out through this like kind of real life stuff and figure themselves out or whatever, kind of like pulling the curtain back on superheroes. They're like, well, we kind of have plans for these characters. We kind of like want to bring them into our own thing, but the story you are pitching us sounds great. So you should still do that story, but maybe make up your own characters. So Alan Moore did that and wrote Watchmen. So I will
Wow.
tell you, yes.
That is so. Of all the directions that could have gone at the end, I did not expect that.
Well, it gets more interesting because here we're gonna tie it in. Ready?
Yep.
So Night Owl from Watchmen was originally gonna be Blue Beetle, the
Okay.
second version, the Ted Cord version of Blue Beetle, who has a beetle-shaped
Mhm.
flying pod that looks exactly like the owl pod from Watchmen. Silk Spectre was going to be a character called Nightshade, who went on to be a big part of John Ostrander's original Suicide Squad run. Dr. Manhattan was going to be a character called Captain Atom, who is a DC character. He's part of the Justice League sometimes. He's like a militaristic. He's basically like a human atom bomb inside a containment suit, basically. So that was going to be Dr. Manhattan. Rorschach was going to be the Question, the faceless detective conspiracy theorist that would have lined up great. And the Comedian was going to be Peacemaker, a gun-happy, violent-loving, crude, sadistic character. Peacemaker was going to be murdered at the beginning of Watchmen, and that was going to be the catalyst for the series. And all these other characters, Alan Moore thought, oh, it would be cool to have like an actual superhero that people are familiar with die at the beginning of a book, and have all these other characters have to investigate. It'd be like if Batman died and then they had to investigate who killed Batman or whatever, like that was going to be that. But DC said, we have plans for like involving Blue Beetle and whatever, and question these characters into other things. So you can't use them in this story, but please go and tell your story with your other characters. And he did. And it's the greatest comic book story ever written.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, like I said, that is not in any way, shape, or form where I thought that story was going.
Yeah.
But it's
cool, right?
I for one, I'm never gonna be able to look at it the same way again. But also, yeah, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so awesome. So awesome. Anyway, that's a little tie-in from Peacemaker. You all right? Steve is removing his headphones to okay, he wants me to talk. Okay. Do you hear like a weird noise or something?
Yeah, my background level on my mic's not dropping out, so I was trying to figure out if there was something.
Oh, okay.
Technical difficulties.
I thought somebody was breaking into your house.
No, I probably just need to gate my mic a little more.
Okay. I don't know if I was about to witness a struggle. Anyway, Peacemaker season finale. This series was great. Like you said, super fun, enjoyable, most entertaining season of television that I've seen in a very long time, I think. And I'm counting all those like Marvel shows on Disney Plus too. They're all great. I've loved them very much, but like I laughed out loud. I was brought to, on the verge of tears at some point of this show. Like it was really like a roller coaster of emotion and entertainment and enjoyment the entire time. Huge credit to James Gunn for writing and directing. He wrote all of them, directed almost all of these episodes. What an enjoyable time this show was.
Dare I say the most fun I've had, or not most fun per se, but the best time I've had watching a comic book series since the aforementioned Watchmen.
Yeah, Steve, I think so too.
Very different. So definitely very different.
Definitely very different.
Equally enjoyable.
Yeah, and we've talked about our mixed feelings on Boba Fett, but for a while, there were a couple weeks where we didn't get to watch Boba Fett on Wednesdays, my wife and I. And so Thursday night came around. We're like, do you want to watch Boba Fett or Peacemaker? We chose Peacemaker every time.
Yep.
Just because that was the one that we cared more about, that we wanted to see sooner. So I don't know. That doesn't say anything. I saw like it was being shared around. I don't remember the actual listing, but like the most watched or the most engaged with TV shows over the last week or whatever was like the Olympics and like one other like worldwide thing, and Peacemaker was number 3.
That's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. But super congratulations to HBO Max, to James Gunn, to John Cena, and all the cast of Peacemaker on an incredible show.
You did it, guys. World's best cup of coffee.
Guys. But I don't know. This was Great. Like it starts off with them in the woods trying to figure out how to, or they're on the way. The conversation with Adebayo and Peacemaker and Vigilante not letting her talk by, know.
Yeah.
Very funny. The whole Eagly trying to convince Eagly to drop the helmet or whatever, and not working out.
Flies
really
off. It's like
so funny.
Thing I did not ever notice, and until I looked on IMDb. Who, noted voice actor, who do you think is Eagly?
There's a voice actor for Eagly?
And it's one you know.
It's not just Eagle sounds?
Nope. And he plays about...
All right, hold on. It's not Alan Tudyk.
Nope.
Because he's a Disney guy.
Oh, this guy's a Disney guy too.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yep.
Alan Tudyk does like every random animal in any Disney movie. He does like the chicken in Moana and shit. Like just that dude is all over the place. Oh, it's a Disney guy. And oh man. Okay, now I don't know.
The voice of the clones himself, D. Bradley Baker.
Oh my god. What?
D. Bradley Baker is Eagle.
What? That's hilarious.
Yep. He's not just the stand-in for Tamura Morrison when he goes into animation mode.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I don't know. I think there was a lot of great character stuff in this show. We got the start of Peacemaker seeing a vision of his now dead father taunting him kind of at every turn. I feel like we did just get, congratulations also, we did get a season 2 confirmed of Peacemaker, which if it's one of the most watched shows in the world, I'd be shocked if you didn't get season 2. So I'm sure James Gunn can fit that into his schedule somehow. Hopefully he can in a timely manner. I don't want to wait 4 years to see Peacemaker season 2.
Well, and we'll see where season 2 goes because everybody has gone their separate directions at this point. So
yes. Yeah, we will see. And we'll also see if this has any effect on whether or not they do another Suicide Squad movie, because at the end of this episode, Adebayo outs the Task Force X and the Suicide Squad as existing, and they got Viola Davis to show up and sit on her couch and say, what the fuck, which is a great tie-in to the Suicide Squad movie. So that will kind of determine where we go with that. If we ever do get another Suicide Squad movie, or what the fallout is from this decision in the rest of the DCEU, because this show, as we found out, in no uncertain circumstances in this episode, is hard part of the DC Extended Universe.
Yeah, and I guess working backwards, like as dumb as it sounds, we're going to work backwards from the end for a minute here. You talk about cameos.
Yeah.
When the entire Justice League shows up out of
Almost
nowhere.
The entire Justice League. Almost. No Batman, no Cyborg, and we both know why.
Yep.
Affleck's done, and they're not working with Ray Fisher anymore.
Yep.
Because of racism accusations. But anyway.
So the remaining Justice League shows up, and none other. So the way they framed it, and James Gunn did awesome with this. When they showed up, I in my brain thought they're just gonna walk past and it's gonna be the stand-ins or whatever, and they're not gonna show us anything, or
they were all in shadows.
It was all silhouetted, and they pan away, like pan to the silhouettes, they pan back to the guys, and then they pan back, and it's literally Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller. Sitting there in costume, and in it, they drop a fish fucker. Like, what?
Yeah, a lot of controversy about this online from people. I don't know. I feel like there's like Zack Snyder worshiper people who hated this moment because they want their Justice League to be like a separate thing, and the fact that it was associated, they were in this show, they were offended by that for some reason. I think that's stupid, because I just want to see these characters however you give them to me. And people complaining about my favorite part of the entire episode, which is Aquaman turning to Flash and going, fuck you, Barry. Yeah. About the fish fucker comment.
Absolutely.
So funny. And it's like, you're complaining about that when you loved when Ben Affleck said it to the Joker in Zack Snyder's Justice League? Come on, shut up. Right after Joker made a very lewd comment about a reach around to Batman, like, yo, okay, come on, check yourself. Anyway, I thought that was so funny and like so cool that Warner Brothers let Aquaman say that because he's an A-lister. He is $1 billion movie franchise for them, and a PG-13 one at that. And just so funny that they would let one of their A-list franchise characters drop an F-bomb like that at one of their other soon-to-be A-list franchise characters. Just so funny. And really, like when they showed those silhouettes, not so much with Wonder Woman, but Superman, even just a silhouette really looked like Henry Cavill's Superman to me. It was something about like the hair and the way that he was framed. Like Wonder Woman just had a shield and a sword, and her hair was down, so like it didn't necessarily it wasn't like, oh, that's Gal Gadot. But for some reason, the Superman was like, that is Henry Cavill's Superman. Like I could tell. And I don't know, that probably doesn't mean anything. Like, it's not like a sign that he's coming back. I want him to come back still. I hope that he does in some way, but like, we can't read into that because it's a shadow. So who knows?
But I legitimately thought like that really could have been, one of the wildlings from Game of Thrones that was playing Momoa when it was silhouetted. I was like, oh, cool. They just got some guy with some big hair and called it a day.
Because I had kind of gotten it spoiled for me on Twitter that there was a Justice League cameo. I didn't know what capacity. So at first when they all showed up, I was like, holy shit, it's legit. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, they're just going to be all silhouetted. And I was like, oh, no, wait. Yeah. Like it was like a 3-tiered thing.
Yep.
And then I was like, is Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, like, are we going to get Henry Cavill back? Like, if the return of Henry Cavill happened in Peacemaker, that would have been hilarious.
Oh, it would have been perfect.
So many people want that so bad, and if it would just happen for 2 seconds in this one show, it would have been so funny. So many people would have been mad about it, but it would have been great. And another unique fact about that cameo, the dialogue between Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa, was shot by Marvel Entertainment. Yep. Yes, you heard that correct. James Gunn simultaneously working on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 while he was finishing up Peacemaker. Whatever situations occurred or whatever, shot the dialogue between Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa with the crew from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I guess was payback because...
Yeah, this was apparently a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type thing because when... I guess James Gunn, from working with Chikwudi Wuji, wanted...
Who played Myrn.
Yep, he played Clemson Myrn
Peacemaker.
in Peacemaker. Yeah. Apparently, after working with him, he is now going to have a part moving forward in Guardians 3. So the screen test for Wuji was shot... or what was it?
His screen test for Guardians for a Marvel project was shot by
DC
the
because
Peacemaker
they were doing Peacemaker
crew
at the time when that was happening, and then Turnabout's Fair Play, and Marvel ended up shooting this for them.
Super funny. And I said this to you right before we started, like, fine enough, okay, fine. DC shot a test screen for Marvel. Marvel shot a cameo of 2 A-list Justice League characters talking for DC. I think that's funny. It's like we're not shooting an exterior shot of a building or whatever, like a slate or something like that. Like, no, this is dialogue between 2 Justice League members. It'd be like, I don't know, DC shooting dialogue between Captain America and Iron Man or something. It's just really funny to me.
It's one thing if they're on set and like, oh, you were just filming here. Here's an extra shot that we had of this building that you needed or whatever, just to fit it into frame. And I'm sure that happens here and there, but
I'm sure it does
for a full blown like, here's your best guys. We're just gonna film this for you because why not?
Yeah. So anyway, when I did read, unfortunately, I did have the Justice League cameo spoiled for me, but after I read it, I spent the day thinking, oh, really? The Justice League's just going to come in and like save everybody at the end? Like, that's kind of bullshit. Like, you want the characters that you've been with the whole time, you want them to be the heroes. And that was the case. So like, I was very happy that happened. Like, they had to deal with it themselves. Because right at the beginning, Adebayo's on the phone with Amanda Waller and saying, like, can you call the Justice League or something? I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
That's
Here
the
we go.
call in. They're going to come save the day at the end. And guess what? They do not. And it's the characters that you care about that have to figure it out and do it.
Yeah.
All the action in this was really cool.
Yeah, I guess
the butterflies
let's
like doing cool like flipping action over everybody while they're getting shot and shit.
Yeah.
Like, there's tons of like gunplay and stuff that was awesome.
Let's bring it back to the assault on the barn. So we're going in completely non-chronological order on this whole thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like the simple things like Economos going in undercover after they had to kill the butterfly guard there, and him going in, and I never thought I could almost get brought to tears by somebody talking about dyeing his beard.
Yeah, I know. That is such a James Gunn thing. I feel like we talked about this when we talked about the Suicide Squad, how he is so good at paying off things that you don't necessarily need payoff, or you wouldn't expect to be, like the Harley having the javelin we talked about
right
in Suicide Squad. How like that's just like a funny thing. Like, she doesn't know why she's supposed to carry it. It keeps coming back to her. Like, I'm waiting for God to tell me. Like that's like just a funny recurring thing. And then it pays off when she kills Starro with it. Spoiler alert, at the end of Suicide Squad. Like, that's just like really good writing. And James Gunn is really good at like threading that through. Like, we never forgot about the dye beard joke thing enough to have it come back at the end in a place where he's not only saying it to save his life, but he's confessing it to himself kind of for the first time. And like, he's getting emotional while he's saying it, because he also knows that his friends that he's been denying it to are listening to him. Like, that's like a multi-level story beat that is just so smart. So smart. Like,
all while having to deadpan it with no emotion, because he's recalling it because he's supposed to be the bug.
Be an alien, yeah. I never in a million years would have thought that would come back to any kind of emotional stakes at all. But that's the genius of James Gunn. I think he's such a brilliant writer, and so good at plotting these things and threading these lines through. And you mentioned the Economos thing. I think it was great. I feel like everyone got like a moment in this episode. Obviously, Peacemaker or John Cena got tons to do. Adebayo getting to be the human torpedo that goes inside the giant cow that kills it and covered in guts when she comes out. So funny.
I feel like that was the redeeming moment in Peacemaker's eyes was, I made her go through the cow.
Yeah, exactly. I'll forgive her.
I guess we can forgive her.
I think you're right. That was it. I mean, Vigilante is always like stealing every scene that he's in, so any moment that he has is hilarious. Harcourt getting shot to shit. And barely holding on at the end. Like, that was super cool. And like the theme music when the Do You Really Want to Taste It starts playing as they start walking in. That was awesome. And then it starts kind of like warping a little bit when she gets shot and starts going down. It started like bent a little bit. It was like, you really want to take, like, that was awesome.
It's like you're warping it on your turntable a little. And
exactly. Yeah,
so
cool.
One thing I went back through, because Gunn actually publishes weekly his playlist for the show of songs that were included that week. He like updated it on Mondays, and then by the time it would come out on Wednesday. So I was sitting there and I didn't realize most of the songs used in the show are from the mid 2000s.
Oh wow! And they're just like,
they're all like 80s sound.
Yeah, like pastiches of 80s heavy metal bands. Wow.
Like Sweden and like some of there's like this whole culture over there that has a bunch of different bands. There's a bunch of American bands that are emulating that sound. Like there's plenty of actual 80s music in, but it's probably like maybe 20% at most, and the rest of it is all from like 2000 onwards.
Wow, that's cool.
Really weird, including Do You Really Want to Taste It?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Wow. Dude, that dude just knows so much music.
Seriously.
Yeah. So crazy.
And the breadth to go from what he did for the Guardian soundtrack to this to like the guy
knows music.
And Suicide Squad, yeah.
Great soundtrack too.
Yep.
So Yeah, I am just looking forward to anything that he does next. He's becoming one of my favorite filmmakers, I think, because movies like Slither and stuff that I'd seen before Guardians, but then the Guardians movies and the stuff that he's done with DC and Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, I've just loved everything. So
He did do the Scooby-Doo movies too.
he wrote them, right? Yeah, I don't think he directed them, but he wrote them, I think.
Yep, he was a writer for them.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah, his director credits are Slither, Super, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Super,
Guardians 2, Suicide Squad, Guardians 3.
Yeah, just a super talented guy. I hope he sticks around in the DC universe for a while. I mean, we know he is for a little bit. At least he's doing Peacemaker season 2, and he's also doing another Suicide Squad spinoff series. So very excited to see what that is and when that happens. And who knows, because he's filming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 right now. So who knows when he'll be free to work on another show or write season 2 of Peacemaker. We will see. But I hope I don't know. I hope it's a smooth process, and I hope it's happens faster than Marvel.
You know what I did forget?
What?
The next thing that he's directing, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
A holiday special, yeah.
So it can't be any worse than the Star Wars holiday special. So we're doing good.
That's this year too, right?
Yep.
He's also said this is not about Peacemaker anymore, but he's also said that the holiday special will have ramifications for Guardians Volume 3. So like the holiday special is like essential watching.
That's kind of amazing.
It is, and I mean it's kind of smart if he uses the holiday special to like get some shit out of the way so they can hit the ground running in Volume 3. You know, like use the holiday special to get some like backstory or plot or whatever out of the way and establish them so they can move forward in Guardians 3 without having to go through all that rigmarole.
So this is Book of Boba Fett episodes 5 and 6.
Yeah, I guess so.
In Guardians form.
Yeah, so Mando 3 can hit the ground running. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong, but we'll see when it happens this December or November, I assume.
So that'll be good.
It will be good.
Switching gears back to where we were, I can't tell like that the moment John Cena or Chris Smith or whoever he was at that moment, like has the conversation with Goff.
Yeah.
That was just like the way his character had been set up. It really was tense, and it was like, what decision is he actually going to make here?
I know. Yeah.
And in hindsight, it all fit, but it's like he was on that razor's edge, and I think they played it very well, and the scene was well acted. I
agree.
Like, both of Goff, laying it out there, and of Peacemaker just being like, you couldn't read anything, and you could see the turmoil in his face, and it was really well done.
Yeah, you could see that he knew that she was kind of right.
Right.
But he wasn't going to do it because he just knew it was the wrong thing to do, even though she was right. It's still the wrong thing to do. It's kind of a weird, I don't know. Yeah, it was a really cool situation, and it's something that probably he'll have to continue to deal with, as like similarly to like him killing Rick Flag was like the jumping off point for his entire arc in this season. Maybe this might have ramifications for what he goes through in season 2. Who knows?
That and his Force Ghost father. Yeah, correct.
I was gonna say one other thing. Oh, heartbreaking for me, the very end scene where he pours out the last of that amber fluid for the bug, and just knowing that she's gonna die after that.
That's it.
Or it's gonna die. Yeah. That's all it's left. It's like and it makes you think like he's been doing it until it's gone, and now this is the end. And she knows, like, this is it. But like cool, like truce, like she's not taking over anybody else. She's not taking over. She could easily just take him over, but it's like a mutual respect almost. Like keep feeding you, but you're not gonna take anybody else.
Fair game,
Fair game. Yeah. Yep. So cool. Love the show. Can't wait for season 2. Can't wait for more from James Gunn in both the Marvel and the DC universes, and whatever else he wants to do. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Got some probably
think is Moon Knight the next thing we're gonna have to recap?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's anything else in March, TV show wise, that's happening that's recap worthy. Unless you want to do, I mean, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel just started. Do you want to do a Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? It says
it
Marvel
does
right
have
in the
Marvel
title.
in the name, so there's a chance. Also, a good show for people who haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible show. It's really, really good. It's just not nerdy, really related in any way,
Right.
but it's great. You should watch it.
The
You
Venn
watch
diagram
non-nerd
of,
things.
right. The Venn diagram of people listening to this podcast and would also want to, or previously have watched Marvelous Miss Maisel. I don't know, but we'll find out.
We'll find out. If
Drop
you
us a
love
line.
Marvelous Miss Maisel, if you want us to do a season 4 Marvelous Miss Maisel recap, let us know. I guarantee you that you won't. But if you want to, let us know. If we get 5 people that tell us to do that, then we'll do it. And I don't think that we will.
Fair enough.
Because I'm watching it anyway. I'll talk about it. I love it. I'll watch it. It's great. But yeah, any other than that possibility, which I don't think is going to happen, then yes, Moon Knight will be the next thing that we talk about. So
also, for the record, Matt, you can't create 5 different random emails accounts and send them to us. Doesn't work.
That doesn't count. It doesn't count. 5 individual real life people. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got. That's all you got, Steve.
Yeah, good here.
All right, cool. Well, like and subscribe, share, email us, drop us a line on all the socials. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time in the multiverse.